Welcome, everybody. Wonderful to be here with you for the completion evening of our COP27 framework program. And I salute all of you who've been with us for all these days. I know that many of you have been with us for a lot of the time, many of your beautiful faces joining us again and again, and the sense of growing a true community of feeling together, sensing together, loving together, caring together over the days has been truly nourishing, I think, for all of us. So there might also be people who join us today for the first time. Welcome to you. And it's a very special evening for us because we're reaching out to another community, the community of, I just learned how to say the name, Thich Nhat Hanh. I've also always said Thich Nhat Hanh, and maybe some of you make the same mistake. So it's actually Thich Nhat Hanh. Who passed this last year such an amazing power of presence and caring in our world. And many of you might know the monastery of Plum Village in France. And last year at COP22, Anna Folborn and I met these two wonderful brothers, Brothers Spirit and Brother Embrace, who are joining us again tonight. And we know that many people in our community, the community of Thomas Hübel, and many people beyond that, but many of you will feel close to this community. And it's lovely to build friendship over time. So we're very, very happy to have both of you with us again, Brother Spirit and Brother Embrace. Yeah, we're also here because it was meant to be the last day of COP27. And as happens often, the negotiations are actually being extended until tomorrow. And I think many of us won't be surprised to hear that there is a bit of a gridlock happening in Sharm el-Sheikh, especially between the wealthy countries and the developing countries, as they're struggling to find common ground, especially around the topic of loss and damage, which we've spoken about again and again, but also many other issues. So maybe it's a good time to slow down tonight and become even more present in the gap between the worlds. And one of the themes of tonight is this question of how can each of us become the answer to climate change? How can we together become an impulse for global healing in action? And you'll remember the little quote from the Tao Te Ching that I brought at another time, which says that when the master runs into a difficulty, she stops and gives herself to it. Together we are slowing down, witnessing more, and softening into our next steps. I also want to say again tonight a very special welcome to our Ukrainian listeners and also to our German listeners. And we're grateful to our translators who enable you to be there and who are building bridges. Yeah, so before I'll pass on to Sonita Mba, our colleague from the Pocket Project, who is present at COP27, I would love to just take a moment here. Oh, hi, Sunita. How lovely to see you, dear. I was wondering. Great to see you. I actually wanted to invite people just into a 2-minute attunement before I pass on to you, if that's okay. So maybe we both go back to gallery view and Anna kindly releases us from being pinned so that we can have a space to just arrive together. So I'm happy to say that today, Brother Embrace will lead us into a deeper meditation just a bit later. So you can all get ready and look forward to that. And for now, let's just take a moment to greet our sacred bodies here on the sacred land that we sit, inhabit. Just allow ourselves to settle more deeply into the embrace of the planet. Settle more deeply into the softness of our heart. Settle more deeply into the grace of our own soul. Allow our inner witnessing power and our higher guidance to be present. And welcome the softness of the embrace of this community. The softness of the weaving of the space between us. And the softness of our hearts reaching out into the world. Thank you. Yeah, and with that, I would love to hand over to you, beautiful Sunita, who's been our ears and our eyes on the ground at COP27. And just thank you for everything you do in the world, Sunita, and the way you bridge your African heritage and the love you carry for the whole continent of Africa, with also opening more and more to the work of healing the trauma of colonialism and the healing also the trauma of war. Thank you, dear, for your inner and outer beauty. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Kosha. And yeah, it's really beautiful to connect again. And hopefully my internet is good and you can really hear me well.
It's brilliant. It's very stable.
Okay. So I have just arrived. I think it's been like 30 minutes since I just came in from Sharm el Sheikh. It's been an intense day listening in the morning to COP negotiations and then traveling right after. And as Kosha has already shared, that the negotiations have been pushed into tomorrow, and this is because it's been a very, very intense last few weeks. And in my sense, actually, is that there is a lot of grief, mainly because the wordings in the last weeks around the negotiations have really been about our government saying, yeah, unfortunately, the Paris Agreement, where we were negotiating for 1.5 degrees. Unfortunately, it's not about 1.5 degrees, it's about a 2.0. So in this really, this has been actually the main framing in the negotiations, and that the governments have actually really given up on the 1.5 and now start to negotiate for a 2.0. So this is for me the first very, very difficult heartbreaking actually realization. And just to take a moment, because I didn't speak about this so far, and that now that I speak about it here, I really feel like that it really affects, that it comes from a different place in my body.
Yeah, and maybe Sunita, even just before you, let's just feel the sadness, because I can feel the grief, maybe also the fury in some, but just to notice that wave of sadness, feeling with the life that will be affected. Many communities, many places on the earth, many beings on the planet that will be affected. Thank you.
Yeah, and to move on, I think there have been a lot of communities, indigenous communities, but also people from the global south that have, where the narrative over the years has been about vulnerability, that a lot of these communities have been looked at as, the most vulnerable, and they've not been seen in a way as a contributing factor, and that the work that these communities have been doing has in many ways been contributing to resolving or finding solutions to the climate crisis. And the framing at the negotiations this year has been mainly, how can we actually empower and bring more acknowledgement to the work that these communities have been doing, and not just only see them as vulnerable communities, but also as a great contributing energy to the crisis that we're facing, and that these communities are actually doing a lot of work that is not able, we have not been able to develop mechanisms to quantify, to collect the sort of data that is needed, and that that as a global community, we have been unable to acknowledge how much sequestration of carbon that these communities have been doing over many, many years. And in a way that, as we continuously try to look for mechanisms to analyze and to quantify how much sequestration of carbon is being done across the world, that in a way we should develop mechanisms that actually figure out how much these communities are doing on the ground. And in this way, if we can quantify that, we would also be able to see that the developing nations are actually doing a lot of work, and that the world can actually learn from what these communities are doing if we can develop a certain mechanism to showcase that. Also, many people have said that we are 30 years behind the negotiations, that what we are talking about today, loss and damage, is the conversations we should be having 30 years ago. So again, pushing the negotiations one day forward is just, it's just like we're pausing time. We're not going back 30 years ago from when the call for loss and damage was made, the first call was made by communities. And we're pushing it forward and forward. And just like we are buying time with stopping the financing of fossil fuels, we are pushing more time. We are giving ourselves more time and the time we don't have. This is what I hear from the negotiations in the last 2 weeks, that communities on the ground in the Amazon, indigenous communities are saying, we have been bearing the brunt of climate change for over 30 years. We have called for loss and damage. We have no more time, but our nations are not yet ready to make pledges towards it. And I think one more thing that I would like to bring to your awareness today from the negotiations is that the negotiations have been about a lot of different things, about gender and climate change, about climate finance, about agriculture, and also about adaptation, about technology finance, Article 6, which is about carbon credits. So there are different levels of issues and topics that are being negotiated at COP27. And at the moment, with regards to adaptation and financing adaptation for vulnerable communities, mainly in the global south, that there have been two main countries from the developed nations that have put a veto into providing the required financing for the global south to actually take on adaptation. So at the moment, the conversation for financing adaptation in the global south is not going anywhere. And yes, a lot of frustrations. A lot of frustrations, but also there have been a lot of side events where the spark hope, people dancing, indigenous communities bringing their voices and dancing and talking about, coming together again for implementation, which is the theme of this year's COP, and African communities coming together more than ever before. For the first time, having a youth pavilion where young people bring in their voices and saying, it is possible, we can do it. And I can truly say that from the momentum that I experienced at this year's COP, many people ask me if my wishes were met at this year's COP. Well, I think that we are one step forward. Because again, we can prove that it's possible to come together. And the more we can come together, the more we can do it. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sanita. And somehow it also reminds me of our conversation yesterday evening with Nora Bateson, like this repetition of very similar topics and conversations at COP year after year. And yeah, and also, while I hear the importance of quantifying carbon sequestration of communities on the ground and indigenous peoples, and a part of my heart could just cry that that would be necessary and that we cannot simply honor and respect the wisdom for all life, the wisdom in the way that all life is being honored in many places around the planet, and learn from them with respect and humility. that something would need to be quantified. It's like more of the old. Yeah, but it's a complex world that we live in. And huge thanks to you. And I'm looking forward to also having deeper conversations with you and hearing more about the details. And thank you so much, Sanita, for bringing your power and beauty to COP and back to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and I also think that you build in a way a resonance space that is very much needed in these conversations. And I really wish that in those negotiation rooms that we would just stop for a minute and realize again that we are just humans on this journey. I really, really wish that someone is listening and actually could bring this into the negotiation room, that people could touch again the humanness in these difficult talks, and why they look at each other and find it really difficult to reach compromises.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, maybe that's the point, to shift deeper or go one step deeper into tonight's topic about why we are here tonight with Brother Embrace and Brother Spirit, what called us forth to call them here. And that it's really also because of the incredible work that has been done by especially Thich Nhat Hanh to bring home to us in the West the concept of interbeing, not only to our humanness, but to all that is alive. And I'll just share maybe one poem. Thank you, Sanita. Just sharing one poem by Thich Nhat Hanh. You are me and I am you. Isn't it obvious that we inter-are? You are me and I am you. Isn't it obvious that we inter-are? You cultivate the flower in yourself so that I will be beautiful. And I transform the garbage in myself so that you will not have to suffer. I support you and you support me. And just to send this little bit of the poem to the developing and the wealthy countries in their negotiation. You cultivate the flower in yourself so that I will be beautiful. I transform the garbage in myself so that you will not have to suffer. I support you and you support me. I am in this world to offer you peace. You are in this world to bring me joy. Yeah, and I'll just share this in the chat for you. One of the very beautiful writings, the rich heritage that we have. And with that, I want to warmly welcome you, Brother Embrace. You're also known as Brother Thap Jung. And you're a senior teacher. And at least this is what you were last year. Maybe you've moved, but I don't know. But last year you were a senior teacher in Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh's Plum Village community. And you were born in 1969 in Vietnam, and you escaped with your family age 10 and became a refugee in America. And you've been helping to bring a spiritual dimension to ecological activism and the climate movement, and especially bringing this to Paris at COP21 and also to COP22, where we had the joy of meeting you. Yeah. Brother Embrace is passionate about bringing mindfulness practice and well-being into educational settings, especially offering young people an alternative and sustainable way to engage themselves with the social, racial, and environmental challenges of our times. And then Brother Spirit, who's also known as Brother Thap Lin, is a Zen Buddhist monk ordained by Thich Nhat Hanh, a musician and mathematician. You are pioneering new approaches in the meeting of science and contemplation and becoming a leading voice in a new generation of monastics, helping to bring awareness and healing to the collective trauma of climate grief and anxiety. Yeah, a huge thank you to your being here. And I would now like to hand it over to you, Brother Embrace, to lead us into meditation. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Kosha. Can everyone hear me okay? Yes, it's good?
Yes, it's good. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunita, for being there at the intense collection of energy there in Egypt. Brother Spirit and I were there last year, just around this time as well. And we remember the intense energy there. And thank you for being there among the group there and sharing in their suffering and frustration and bringing your voice there. And I'm really happy to hear that there's a youth booth. I think you said that youth people. That's one thing we missed last time. We had to go outside of that to join the youth for climate marches to enjoy their loud and joyous voice celebration. So I hope they brought some of that into that meeting area. So I'd like to invite everyone. We're going to do a little meditation, mainly just to visualize and to expand ourselves in time and space. So if you are in a good position, please sit comfortably. And if you can, turn on your video, okay? And I think that will help you from multitasking and to being truly present, which is the intention of meditation. So if you're choosing to be with us, so turn on your screen and fully acknowledge this beautiful, I'm looking at this array, and I've been going through this arrow looking at your beautiful faces, and to know that we are at a very extraordinary time right now. Because with technology, we are aware of the suffering of other places. But also because of this technology, we are in a place where we can have collective awakening. And so this is something to celebrate with this screen. This is a Zoom gathering. Many of you in many places. So when you look at the screen, it's very different from looking at your work. You're looking at little human beings everywhere on this planet. Isn't that amazing, the time we are living in? And so unfortunately, it's also aware of the suffering in other places, but which is good. We didn't know that before. And so I'm going to lead you in a meditation. I'm an architecture trained in architecture. So I'm going to lead you on a visualization so we can expand our human story. Okay, we're going to move towards a more planetary and galactic and cosmic awareness. So we can see and nourish our compassion for us as this species, little bit crawling around this planet, and reduce a little bit our sense of importance and seeing ourselves among the whole biosphere. So please sit and close your eyes. You know the screen is there, but please close your eyes and come back to our body. Okay. And with your eyes closed, we begin to use our third eye, which is our eye of awareness, aware of our breath. In, out. Just follow the in-breath. Follow the out-breath. Enjoying the in-breath, knowing that this is life, this breath. And things are going on, but right in this moment, I know I'm alive. How precious. How many more years do I have? Breathing out, I give rise to a sense of gratitude. We have all gathered to nourish each other and to embrace each other in our pain and challenges. And if you use that mind's eye, that inner eye, and see ourselves sitting in our room, on our chair, on our couch. We're 20 feet above us, looking down into our room. We see ourselves sitting in front of the screen. We see ourselves with all our stories, our family, our parents, our loved ones. This species, this human being, sitting here in front of a screen, connecting with people. So many beautiful, joyous stories within this memory. Our childhood, all the ancestors, our grandparents, and beyond our ancestors. This evolution to be here in this moment with this awareness. So unique to this two-legged species. Now we move our mind's eye a few hundred feet above this room, this house, this apartment. We begin to see a little bit the horizon, the city, the village, the countryside that we're in. Our dwelling place, a little spot among the urban landscape, the natural landscape. We see the forest in the distance, the mountain range. We begin to see all the other beings, the animals, the humans, on their roadways. We see all the human activities surrounding our place. Everyone with their story. I see a child in the garden. I see a parent taking care of their father and their mother, their elderly. How wonderful to be human. There may be a river nearby, or a mountain peak, or the grassy hills. We see this environment, and we see ourselves and all the human beings as part of this life. Now we raise our awareness even higher, just high enough so we can see the continents, the oceans, maybe the Atlantic, the Pacific, the Indian Ocean. Now we see the whole of the planet, and we are the planet. How wonderful this planet, giving birth to this awareness, this consciousness. You can see the struggles that human beings are creating for each other. The business in the cities, the destruction of war, the harvesting of forests for money. But then we also see all the wonderful human beings waking up a little bit everywhere on each continent to a new reality. And they're struggling, resisting, defining a new way to be in the world. All these beautiful saints doing the good work to help better our world. They are the will of this planet, this beautiful Mother Earth. I see the human journey among this planetary journey, this Earth, this thin layer of atmosphere, so timeless. I am the planet, floating so harmoniously with the sun and all the other planets. The moon dancing with me, giving life, raising the tides. Thank you, moon, for learning to live so harmoniously with me. Thank you, sun, for keeping me warm. Thanks to you, all of life on me is possible. This miracle in the universe. I feel so alive as a planet. I'm being challenged now, having difficulties to find balance. But balance will come. I touch time, infinite time, a galactic cosmic time, not limited by calendars and years. I smile to the entire cosmos, this miracle dance. Life here, life everywhere. I'm no longer limited by my human narrative. I am also planetary, galactic, cosmic. My journey is limitless, timeless. Now I can zoom myself back, embracing all humans who are struggling, who don't know how to take care of their suffering, who are struggling for justice, for equality, for those who are marginalized, the heroes everywhere. As I come closer back to this present moment, this here and now, back to my room, my chair. But I always hold this awareness with me, that I don't limit myself to just the human journey, but the journey of all ages that has brought me here. There have been many civilizations that have gone through ebbs and flows, and we are no different. We struggle for justice. We struggle for freedom, but we also enjoy our lives and the wonder of being given this life. We can open our eyes. Thank you, everyone. I feel all of you, and I'm so happy that that there's a gathering like this. And I really, truly believe this, that we all have this. We will not be defeated by anything. We will not let them tell our story. And I think that's what I have faith in. I was telling my brother before this, like there's always going to be human beings resisting, and reestablishing our freedom. That's, for me, I have that so much faith in that, in humanity. So this is a meditation I do often when I climb up the mountain, and I sit I lay on a boulder up on our mountain, and I do this meditation. It is so healing to become planet Earth and to enjoy her journey through the galaxies and cosmos. So it's a very healing time especially when I start to look at too many news of the human drama. So I invite you to, once in a while, in your work, in your whatever you do to help better our world, to once in a while take and expand the space and the time. So that's a gift for you to know that's the power of our mind, that we all have that story, to rewrite it. And don't let them tell us that it is 1%, 2%, or whatever. We will make our lives and our story differently. So this is what it, when I feel the Mother Earth like that, I feel her vitality gives me so much energy, because I know deeply in my own self, I will never give up. No matter what you do, I will be the last one. And I hope you, I have a feeling this whole screen and many pages of screens here, that you all feel the same, because I see you smiling. And I am not afraid of the future. Although we will continue to struggle for those who are suffering, we will try our best to the very end to struggle for those, to lessen their suffering. And that is the work we are doing. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brother Embrace. And it feels like this kind of stretching into the universal, the oneness with everything, and then coming back to the humility of ourselves, the small self. Is a beautiful stretching exercise. So thank you for teaching us our daily yoga. And there's something about what you said, which maybe, you know, I would bring that question to both of you. But we spoke about it during our journey so far over these days. Like, how do we stay in this stretch of presence between utter humility and connectedness to everything and the not knowing, and at the same time the simplicity of, you know, voluntary simplicity, the simplicity of just taking the next step that our heart tells us to take. So how do you both practice staying in that presence of heartful interbeing, of just, you know, how do you practice that every minute of your day? And maybe you can just share with us, even on a personal level, so some of the moments maybe where it slips away, and how do you come back? Maybe we start with you, Brother Spirit, and then, or whatever you feel is right.
Thank you, Kosha. What a beautiful question, and a deep one. It's kind of, something of an active contemplation for me. I think what I'm observing now in these days is that there's something in me, and I think in all of us, which wants to grasp and fix things, make them understandable, narratable, something to be able to understand life experience, myself, to say who I am, what others are, what my relationships to them are, what my relationship to the world is, what's happening, what's going on, and what's going to happen. What is it all, where is it all going? There's some part of me that wants to grasp that. I mean, when we say grasp as a metaphor for understanding, but it's literally an action of grasping, try to fix and hold. And I see that action, that movement towards fixing things, pinning them down, as being one of the many roots of suffering, actually. And when I can notice it, so if I want to stop it, I've got to notice it. When I notice it, then I have a chance to let it go for a moment. I can relax that tendency, and I can feel again. And it's really through feeling, not thinking, that I can come back into life again and again. And, I think for a lot of us, there's a big concern right now, which is like, what should I do? What kind of action is the right action to take, given what I know, given what I'm aware of the global situation, of the suffering that we see on the news, that we hear from our friends, and like, what do I do? What can I do as just me? And so I've really been thinking about that too, and I've been seeing that there's so many different kinds of action that we can take that maybe we don't usually see as being relevant or powerful, but I think they can be. It's not so much what we do, but how we do it, and with what quality of presence, with what quality of freedom, with what quality of flowing, of allowing life to flow through us. And all of that is a fruit of the ungrasping. I feel like, so the other day I was playing the cello, and I'm actually kind of like, we're building a course, for like to help people with climate anxiety and grief, and to come together and build community. We're building this online course, and one of the things I'm doing for the course is to write a little bit of music, to have at the beginning of every video and so on. And so you might think, well, I don't know, is that really climate action, writing that music? But to me, when I play the cello and I record those little bits of music, I feel like it's really up to me, like how much I put into that recording, how much of my being I allow to flow into that, how much freedom there can be, how much healing there can be, how much of myself do I bring to that, to one note, you know. And in a sense, it's very like the meditation that that Brother Embrace just led us on. Like, I can play a note as the earth. I can allow the earth to play, you know, and that's very concrete. That's not just, I mean, I think we kind of misunderstand what imagination is. Imagination is not just making stuff up. It's actually maybe connecting with what is. I can allow my ancestors to play. I can allow my father and mother to play. I can allow all the different versions of me that are trapped in past sufferings, you know, my own trauma as a child, as a teenager, the moments in my life that I'm frozen, you see, grasping, stuck onto some experience of pain that I think I can't heal. But I can allow all of those layers of myself to come into the present moment, including all the ancestral grief and suffering and injustice. I can bring all of those layers into the now, into this one note. And, you know, I don't know, something happens. I don't know what it means. I don't know if it's any use to anyone. But I feel like maybe it is. I feel like there's a door there somehow. There's a door to feeling like the action can be now. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I have to plan, you know, and I have to do something in the future, and only that will be effective. And it's not that we shouldn't like participate in demonstrations and things like that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying like we don't need to wait to feel like we're taking action. The action is now. The action is how we relate to our feelings in the moment, in this very moment, like the discomfort we feel, the pain, the sorrow in our bodies, in this moment. Like what can I bring to that? How much freedom and space can I offer? How much can I release? How much can I allow this moment of life to be the healing, to be the my engagement, you know, with the suffering? Because the suffering I feel is not just mine. It's also in it is the suffering of the earth. If I'm the earth, then in my suffering is the suffering of the earth, is the suffering of all people everywhere, all other more than human realm people, you know. And so if I can accept that, be with it, not resist it, allow it to flow, find ease, comfort with the discomfort, with the pain, not be overwhelmed, stay with it, smile to it, celebrate it. I don't know. I feel like that's a way of taking action, and and I trust it. I trust that that's something that we can learn to do, and that we are learning to do. I'm seeing it everywhere. You know, people are getting that. And then the way we interact with each other, the way we show up for each other is totally different. And I think that's changing the world. And then we're not waiting for something in the future. It's now.
Yeah, it's amazing watching you light up when you speak about playing that note on the cello. It's like, you know, we can go there with you. We can feel that moment of all oneness that comes through you. It's like complete love when you play that note, and you take us there as you. So it's beautiful to share that moment with you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Brother Spirit. Yeah, and I brought this sentence by Thich Nhat Hanh, I'm still struggling with the discomfort of not quite getting it right, which is exactly what we're speaking about. The embarrassment of not getting it right about being like a human being. So, right? Yeah, but where he actually wrote ahead of the Paris Climate Summit and published a statement which was, asked for by the United Nations. And I wonder, how do we learn from it? And he wrote, the earth is not something outside of us. Breathing with mindfulness and contemplating my body, I realize that I am the earth. I realize that my consciousness is also the consciousness of the earth. My consciousness is also the consciousness of the earth. And when I look around myself, what I see is not my environment, it is me. What we see is not our environment, it's us. It's us that we see as we look out into the world. And that's exactly what you spoke about also, Brother Spirit. And maybe we can hear from you, Brother Embrace, to the same question about how can we be conscious that we are, that our awareness, our consciousness is what we see around us in the world. And as we change it, we transform reality. Further embrace.
Yeah, in our tradition, we try to touch the ultimate. How you say? When you touch the planetary consciousness, and those things nourish us, and it revitalizes us. When we could touch God, we touch the ultimate, we touch the sense of oneness, these things that we are so capable of with our mind. But the reality is that we also need to deal with the historical dimension, the conventional dimension, which is we have to struggle, we have to pay our bills, we have to do things, and we have to be doing what we need to do. And so how to infuse and to connect those two. And I enjoyed your Tao Te Ching quote, and it said when the master or when the teacher or when whoever runs into a difficulty, they stop and give themselves up to it. And for me, that actually reminded me of a sutra from the Buddhist teaching about crossing the flood. And it's somebody who asked the Buddha, how did you cross the flood? Because you imagine in India, they're like monsoons and, weather when that comes, it's a big tidal waves going through, and so he must have seen a lot of that and he probably watched people and how they crossed the flood. And his answer was that he crossed by not halting and not straining. Okay, and then they're like, what? How did you cross without halting, without straining? And I think for those of you who've ever tried to cross a river, like, and it's a long distance and it's a strong current, there is a way to do it. And that is not, struggling and straining yourself. You'll get tired and your feet. So that when you do get tired, you actually relax and you allow the river to flow. So you're not like going against the river, you're flowing with it, but then you're also pushing a little bit towards the other shore. I don't know if some of you who've ever crossed the river, when you've actually little caught in the middle, oh my gosh, you start to panic, right? You start to, and you can't really stop because you try to, and you get really tired. So you just relax your body and you allow, not to be fearful, because that fear right there, it just makes your whole body tense up and your heart and your breathing becomes very difficult. And I remember many times in my life being stuck in a river like that. And I remember that rule. It's just, Okay, relax your body, and I begin to allow it to flow, and I'm okay to go further down the river, but I slowly move with it, and then I eventually go to the a more shallow area. And this is a beautiful metaphor for right now, between knowing what's happening and what it potentially could happen, and also being open. Yeah. And so as we struggle, as we and here the flood here is not just the flood of climate change and what's going to happen to our planet, but it's also the flood of our daily life, our busyness, our emotions, our daily challenges, right? And what's beautiful about it, learning how to navigate and relax and come more from a space of non-fear about it. So that's where the ultimate comes in, and the insight of interbeing comes in. So rather than being fueled by against something, fighting for, right, we begin to look more like, okay, I'm going to work with what I got. So my situation and whoever is in front of me, it could be the CEO, it could be a corporation, it could be your partner, it could be your children. So we begin to allow space for that. And I think that's where we're at, because we're so determined with facts and things, that we are so determined that this will happen to us, and there's only one way to fix it. But actually, if we relax into it, it might lead to another possibility. For me, that's just what my work right now is, to encourage young people to have more faith in their body, their self. And then when they have that space, they can reimagine a new story, so they don't become the victim of what is being told to them. That's what's happening to a generation or two that's coming up, that they are being aware of this, and then they are becoming a victim of this information. And for me, I got to resist that. I cannot let that undermine my daily life, my present moment, and the wonder that I have, like maybe 50 years more, 40 years more of my life. And that just to say, not to ignore, but it fuels me to do my work, to serve humanity. So for me right now, that image of crossing the river is so crucial in whatever scope we're dealing with. So for me, that is the kind of the ultimate, and the convention, the historical, what we need to do in our lives. That is very skillful, and this is in our tradition is very, very important. Like once we know something, it should empower us to act. And how to act here is the action of crossing the river. So we don't struggle and strain and fight, and then we burn out. We get despair. A lot of young people who come to our monastery are like overloaded, and they can't rebuild themselves. So in a way, they get immobilized. So we fuel them with the practice so that they know how to revitalize themselves, and also relax a little bit in the struggle, right? And I think that's why they get burnt out, is because they feel a dualistic, I gotta fight. And when you do that, you're fighting yourself. You become a victim of your own struggle, of your own cause. So for me, that is very dangerous. And that's where we're at right now with young people. They become victim of their own cause. So do what you need to do, but do it with that awareness of interbeing and flowing, right? And so this is, I think, the message of, that I'm trying to bring more into the world, that actually compassion, love, interbeing, seeing others as victim as well, it fuels you, it moves you to try to work with them and like let's talk it out, rather than confronting them and like always butting heads. But that's my work. But I also don't oppose people who need to do like a little bit harder stuff. Like, go for it. And when they get burnt out, they come to the monastery. So for me, many fronts. So my work now is to help people have the tools so they know how to cross the river and come to that place and help people to cross. and see a different way to being in the world. So many of the people that we confronted last year at the table, they're fighting great cause, but they were so tense and they didn't know how to cry. And when my brother led a meditation, we held hands. A lot of them cried. So this whole trauma thing is like, you cannot skip it. We just get so hard into solving the problem that we don't deal with our own pain and suffering. And that doesn't soften our heart. And that's what was happening, why negotiation doesn't happen. The hearts are hardened because they are not dealing with their suffering. We're all struggling for the same thing. This is, for me, the work we need to do is to raise more awareness, but also give tools for people to do the work, the service, the mending, the healing, the transforming. And so they go hand in hand. It's not exclusive. I hope that I don't know what the question was, but I hope that that's where I'm coming from. That's my work. That's all I do as now, is to help people, wake up to see, that we're not just this little human body, and also give them the tools so they can go out there and be, soldiers of peace. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much. And, there's something about this softening of heart that you're inviting us into. And what you said, Brother Spirit, about the letting go instead of grasping, letting go. And somehow I keep having this, we're coming to the end of our time with you, but I would love to just hear a few last sentences from each of you to this letting go, the softening of heart, and especially, there's such a fear that is being cultivated in our societies around needing so many things and needing so much for our security, and the possibility of letting go more of that, letting go of more stuff to arrive into the essentiality of being and the freedom of that. And I know that you both have a visceral experience of that, even though you sit in an incredibly high-tech room, Brother Embrace. We saw you zoom the camera, so even monks have a Zoom space. Yeah, but I also know that you both know intimately about simplicity and, the luxury of essentialism. And maybe you could just offer a few sentences of inspiration around that as we complete here. And I'll just stay here with you while I listen to each of you.
Thank you again, Kosha, for the wonderful question and reflection. When I think about into being, it's such a lovely concept and everybody gets it, and intellectually we're like, yeah, we're all one, we're all interconnected and it sounds great. But the more I practice in this community and on this path, the more I come to understand it, not just as a kind of intellectual concept, but as a training. We need to train into being. That's why I loved what you said after Taifab Jung's, after Brother Embrace's meditation, that he'd done this kind of mind stretching for us, this mental yoga, mind yoga. And I think that's really what we've got to do. We've got to find ways to do that every day, to stretch our minds out of the little confining narratives that we have of this body, these needs. Like, if we're really going to be free, we can't be stuck with I'm this and I'm in danger and I've got to fear for my security and this kind of thing. We have to, be able to see and feel directly our interrelationship, our interconnection with all that is, not just as an intellectual thing, but as a visceral, as a felt sense experience. And for that, we have a lot of different trainings. And there's two parts, which one is just like we train our mind to get free and to, to be able to stretch, to just get that experience. And then the other part is actually enjoying. Because if we're going to live more simple lives, then we better enjoy the things that we do have. So like our capacity to be able to enjoy a sip of water, or to bite an apple and really, really enjoy the apple, that is in direct connection and correlation with our capacity to live a simple life. Like if you can enjoy a cup of water, my goodness, what freedom that gives you, from having to have something else to drink, something more expensive. I mean, water's amazing. Seriously, you should try it. Like if you can actually, like our teacher, Thai, is much easier to say Thai. Thai just means teacher in Vietnamese. So then we can, free ourselves from all of the need to pronounce 3 Vietnamese words. We only need 1, and it sounds like, Thai. So it's easy. So he would always say, like, drink your cloud. And you can actually do that. Like that is literally something you can do. You can take a cup, and as you sip, you can feel the cloud rolling across your tongue. It's like a whole cloud had to condense to make that little sip of water. There's so much cloud had to like be, condensed to fall as rain, to be collected and to come to you. And you can feel it. You're just like, cloud. I am part of the water cycle. I am part of this constant river of air and water and moisture and heat and exchange and life. It's the lifeblood of Mother Earth, and it flows through me, and I give it back, and I receive it, and I give it back. And that's not just poetry or conceptual stuff. Like that is a physical experience that you can have. You can feel that. And it's trainable. It's something that you can train every single day, multiple times a day. When you peel an orange, like you can really, really be there for the orange. Like you peel it, you smell it, you savor it, you see the color, you see the form, you see the tree, you see the flower, you see the bees, you see the farmers, you see the earth, the sky, the sun, the moon. It's all right there. The sun is blazing at you out of this orange if you know how to look. And it tastes much better, if you're really there. And you can be happy with an orange. So yeah, it's just something to take it out of the kind of like, it's nice, but a little bit woo-woo kind of, we love it, spiritual, it's all great, but just make it concrete. Like, let's actually do it every day. Let's train this. And then we are in the business of transforming the world. We're transforming consciousness. We're transforming our, this is the collective awakening. This is how we participate in the collective awakenings, by doing it every single day.
Thank you. Brother Embrace. Last words.
Yes, it's funny you mentioned about letting go and things, and just the monks and nuns here at Deer Park in the U.S. continent, the American continent. We were talking one time, and we knew that the Black Friday is coming up.
Exactly.
And so we have an event coming up called Make Black Friday Brown. And brown here, it represents in the Vietnamese Buddhist culture simplicity and moderation and letting go. So this is an event that's coming up on Black Friday, actually. So we're gonna give an alternative, because we're all sitting around a fire enjoying, and then the conversation came up. And then we were all talking about, like, even in the monastery, this culture of like looking around, seeing if we need something because the sale is coming up. is very, what do you call it? Intrusive in very subtle ways, How many of you, are thinking like that? Like, oh, Black Friday is coming up. I should look around. I know some of us are, even some monks are looking around like, do I need another teapot? Or like, or especially electronics, So you talk about like awakening and having an unconventional, changing consciousness is nothing philosophical about it. It's like, can you resist that subtle infiltration of your mind? Going around your house, it's done so subtly. And this is how a culture gets colonized. All our holidays now are about buying things. All our holidays, nothing sacred, even the Buddha's Vesak. This is the takeover of the commercial industry, and what is happening to our planet is exactly this kind of mind. I want to ask you a question. Are you happy when someone gives you a gift this holiday that is made from twigs, acorn, a few little glued on leaf? Some will probably go, whoa, okay. They give you something that's bought in a box and it's like many wrappings. You're like, wow, okay, I can see how much they care for me. So it is an interesting conversation. So this Black Friday, we're going to have that conversation. And the monks and nuns, excuse me, there's a bell in the monastery. So we're going to share about like the subtle ways that our mind is taken over. And this is, again, the ultimate and the historical coming together, something very practical. Can you resist this season coming up? Can you resist the complaint from your loved ones and your friends when you give something that is not material, that is homemade, that is like not bought? Can you resist the complaint from your children when they say, Mom, what is this? So this is what we're resisting, I mean, we should have a COP conference about like resisting the consumerist, materialistic, capitalistic society as a very practical, and this has nothing to do with the government. This is all in our own hand. So this is what it means to make Black Friday free. So I invite all of you to, to look into that as the season is coming up, as you are infiltrated here and there with messaging and the virus of, I should get this. It's on sale. The satisfaction of getting something for a smaller price is a virus. I got this deal. Are you kidding me? They have you down, You think you got a deal? Oh gosh. So it is a very funny situation that you think you like, but we believe that. We believe like, okay, I got it at half price. And we feel so good about it. And we believe it. So talk about changing the narrative, changing our habits. So I invite all of you. And if you can, that Friday morning, come and join us. It's at 9 a.m. It's like a 2-hour session with the many monks and nuns. And I'm going to ask them these questions. What is it that's hard for you to let go of? What is one material luxury that you still hold, even as a monk or a nun? It's hard, it's not easy, and even we struggle with it. So this is actually for me and for all my siblings, that we also looking around and say, oh, do I need to get a gadget, and it's like, they make you believe that you're getting a deal. You know, it's like, gosh, that is so hard to resist. And I see many of you are smiling. So I hope you join us in the resistance. Okay, even your loved ones complain about your materialist gift, but you know that there's a lot of love into that. As you glue the pine cones and you bring in the needles and leaves, you put a lot of love in there, and they will receive it. So let us love Mother Earth in a real way. Anyway, I leave you with that.
Oh, beautiful. So 163 people here will not experience Black Friday in the same way. We'll have your voice in our ears. Thank you so much, Brother Embrace and Brother Spirit. Thank you also for teaching me to say Thai instead of making things complicated. Thank you for bringing your joy and your humor and your deep wisdom that comes out of a whole field and a line of wisdom into the space. Thank you. Thank you.
Some people were asking in the comments about the course that I mentioned, and it doesn't exist yet. It's in.
You can just send the
coming,
information to us, and we'll send it out in the email afterwards. Okay. Also about
it'll manifest in April next year, the first cohort. So, but it's based on the book Zen and the Art of Saving the Planet. So it's kind of a course of the book, but with lots of fresh talks from Brother Embrace, from myself, and many other brothers and sisters.
Beautiful. Yeah, and also if you would like to send through the link for the event on Brown Friday.
I shared it already, Kosha. It was wonderful. In the chat several times.
It's in the chat.
Wonderful. So thank you so much. Thank you for being with us. And we look forward to continuing to cultivate this friendship and learning from you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kosha. So beautiful to be with you and your wonderful community. Feels like, there's a very immediate connection. Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you. Yeah, and with this, my dear friends, not only do we come to the end of this beautiful event with a real high point of combination of simplicity and love and practicality. Yeah, but also we come to a completion of this journey together of the last, I don't know, Anna, was it 12 or 13 days? I think
13.
13 days, right? Yeah, Dawn, I don't want this to end either. And it won't end. You know, this is a big river that we're crossing. It's a big river, and we need to remind each other. We had the Hopi prophecy saying, let go of the shore and go to the center of this river, which is running very fast now. And now you come, Brother Embrace, and say, you know, cross this fast running river with care. Don't halt, don't resist, don't struggle. Move smoothly through. Yeah, and let's see who we're with in the river. So it's you we're with right now here. So I'm going to remove the spotlight and come back, and maybe we can all just see the gallery view. Yeah, and just love you to maybe also just share a word in the chat about how you're feeling right now. One word at the end of this journey. Happy spirit, joy, light, grateful, connected, uplifted, immense gratitude, hope, vitalize, encourage, nourished, intertwined, inspired, enlightened. Well done, Alice. Touched, moved, grateful, curious, interbeing. Touched deeply in my heart. Alive, joyful. Trust. Smiling. Wow. So I think, as last year, it's just been an amazing journey. And maybe just for a moment, I want to spotlight Anna here, who's, one of those beautiful people in the background who just keep doing the most amazing things for all of us. And I'm also just give me a moment here because I'm having some issues spotlighting Daria. Could you just help me, Anna? I don't even know how to properly do this. There you are. Wonderful. So these are Anilia is here and Sunita. I just want to spotlight a few of the people who've really been in the background of this, doing so much. Daria is still translating to Ukrainian as we speak, but she's also been such a deep part of our team. And Sunita might have left. I don't know how tired she is. Yeah, but I just want to thank you, and through you, thank the whole team, the people who've been holding all the small strands in the background. And it's really the love of this small yet courageous and strong team that keeps carrying us through. So thank you. I want to also just thank all the translators who've been here. And I want to thank all of you who've been here with us. All the speakers who've been here. Thomas Hubel, who has our back. We will be sending out a feedback form to you. The journey will be continuing. Next Monday, we're going to share with Louise Mara, who carries the Maori lineage in her cells and body and blood. We will move into the vulnerability of becoming truly intimate with nature. So this journey is completing for now, and it's continuing. And let's walk each other home. Let's remind each other when we feel lost, when we struggle, when we resist. Let's support each other to get back into the flow. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Thank you, dear Kosha, for leading us through this process amazingly with all the ups and downs. Thank you so much.
Much love to all of you, and I know we will see each other again soon. Bye, Brother Spirit. Bye, Brother Embrace. Bye, Sunita. Thank you for being here with us tonight. Bye, Barbara. Bye, Marion. Bye, Michaela. Thank you for translating. Bye, Bert. Bye, Luz. Bye, Susan. Bye, Teresa. Maria. Susie. Linda. Nanny. Gabriela. Bye. Jackie, Una, Sebastian, Liliane, Sylvia, Fausto Maria, Munira. So lovely to see you. Helen, Katarina, you're also here. Be well, everyone. We'll miss you.
So I will close the room in just a moment.
It is time.
Bye, everyone.